Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Highly Articulated. I am Adam, and we are opening late. Um, I've got tonight the Spider-Man, uh, Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows 2-pack with Spider-Man and Spinneret, as well as the Amazing Fantasy first appearance of Spider-Man. Um, So let's get into it. First of all, thank you to Mike at eCollectibles for shipping these out to me. These came about a week ago. I've been waiting on them for a while. I've been hearing nothing but good things in terms of reviews. I've heard, a little bit of mixed reviews on the Renew Your Vows ones. I've heard nothing but good things on the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. I'm very eager to get into both. The Renew Your Vows Spider-Man to me seems like the natural progression, that the natural evolution of what Marvel Legends has been doing with their Spider-Man figures. And Amazing Fantasy is just a really, I mean, it's kind of interesting that they've done a completely different take on that evolution. Um, there's things that I'm really looking forward to on both figures. There's things on this that I wish were on this, and aspects of this one that I wish were on the Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. But we will get to that once we get into it. Let's start by taking a look at the packaging on the Renew Your Vows 2-pack. So on the front, we get, of course, the sort of portrait of the figures. All the font, the wording for Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows. We get the art from the comic book up there. The art from the comic book on the side there. Another picture of the figures on the other side. The full loadout of the box on the back. The alternate hands, the alternate Peter Parker head, the alternate hands, the alternate Mary Jane head on this one. Let's get right into it. Now, I'm not bothered by the windowless packaging. Let me know your thoughts on windowless packaging in the comments. We get the legalese little pamphlet that comes with every Hasbro figure. Then we get the cardboard insert with these wax paper bags that we're getting very used to now at this point. Well, at least I am. And then the figures in these little cardboard sort of cutout things. I don't mind this at all. I mean, the packaging is fine as long as the figures are cool. I'm not really fussed what the packaging is like. So let's get them out of the packaging. Now, as I am prone to do, I'm going to do the accessories first. Anybody that's seen me do an unboxing before knows that I typically start with the accessories. just so that they're out of the way, just in case. Just in case there's a particular accessory that I intend to display my figure with, which isn't really going to be the case here, but so we get spare hands, we get the sort of open hands, we get fists, we get a web shooting hand, we get what is quite a nice Peter Parker head sculpt. Yeah, that's pretty nice. No issues with paint, at least on mine, at least on that one. Mary Jane comes with the same selection of hands, so you get the open palms, a fist, a web shooter, or thrown horns, depending on which direction, I guess, whether it's shooting web that way, throwing horns that way. Mary Jane, yeah, it's fine. Probably use it as a spare on something somewhere at some point. But let's do the Mary Jane first. The Spinneret first, sorry. This figure is 100% going to go to my 7-year-old to add to her collection because I have no affinity to this figure whatsoever. But yeah, I've seen. So first thing I'm checking is paint apps, because I do know that there's been some issues with paint apps. QC has been a bit of a problem for some of these. Mine looks fine. The connection, the connection for the head. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because my lighting is terrible. But the ball joint is it feels like the head is quite high on the neck. You can maybe see it better from a different angle, but the head sits very high on the ball joint, and it's fine for range of motion, but it does look a bit awkward from any angle, sort of other than straight on. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, all pinless. So decent figure altogether. I haven't given this one a nice hot bath, so I'm not going to force it into any poses or anything like that. But yeah, just a nice figure, and most certainly a figure that my 7-year-old is going to be very excited to get. Now, let's see if I can get her stand right out of the box without any heat or anything. Yeah, that'll do. Right out of the box, he's kind of in this derp pose, with his chin all the way down, his head all the way back, which looks a little bit ridiculous, but that's okay. That can be fixed. The first impression on this one is I love the paint. I love the colors. You sort of hear all the time, oh shoot, QC issue. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. The you see that? Maybe not. The chest pieces must have been put together before the paint was completely dry. There, you can see it. Before the chest piece was completely dry, because it's stuck, and now it's got a big sort of gash in the paint. It's at the back, so I could probably live with it, but I am probably going to message Hasbro and see what they might be able to do about this. Because that is a disappointment. That being said, I do have all the paint apps on there that should be on there. There's no paint missing. That seemed to be a recurring theme with these, was they were sort of missing web printing in some places. This guy is going to need a hot bath because his joints are tight, quite a bit tighter than I expected. But that's okay because my figures typically get a hot bath anyway. I find that they just pose much better, much easier after a nice warm bath. Now, again, obviously, sort of as we've come to know, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees on this guy. Although it's relatively new to get it all pinless, and the difference in terms of sort of the overall look of the figure is, I would say, noticeable. I didn't think to grab him, but he's close. Hold on. My pizza Spider-Man. So just look at the red pins in the elbows there. This is a great figure. It's a great Spider-Man. However, when you do pose it up, but look at how different the color is. Like this new one, this Renew Your Vows, is like a navy blue, like quite a rich navy blue, and then a very vibrant red. Very nice colors. I thought this was a great figure. Having this in hand, this guy doesn't even compare anymore. And on top of that, the buck for this is much nicer, much better articulation, much better in terms of the overall look of the figure, in terms of the proportions. I like that the head shape is quite a bit nicer. He's thicker but not thick, if that makes sense. He's also, like, he's got a good proportion to the figure overall. This one always, I mean, especially now, feels very skinny, feels very slight, which is fine, but it's easily going to be replaced by this guy. So say goodbye to this Spider-Man. For well, I mean, he'll go back on a shelf somewhere, but yeah, this guy looks phenomenal. One thing I noticed, oh yeah, so that's one. The butterfly joints with the arms all the way forward, you are going to get just sort of the red plastic back there. The paint app doesn't follow all the way, so you kind of have to find that sweet spot. It's a little bit disappointing, but I don't know how they could do the butterfly joint any other way. You know, and like, again, same goes for this like little cosmetic issue on the back. It's not the end of the world. The figure's still going to look fantastic. And once it's posed up, it's not really going to be an issue at all, because you're probably going to be looking at that side of the figure as opposed to the back of the figure anyway. So it's not really that big of a deal. I'm not really that upset. I'm probably never really going to think about it again once it gets posed up, once it gets on a shelf or what have you. The other thing that I absolutely love about this is that we get the toe articulation. It could be a little bit stiffer, but mine is okay. It's not too bad. I've heard some people say that theirs is really loose. This one's quite a bit looser than this one, but once they sort of get them posed up in a really Spider-Man-y pose, I think it'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, you know, I haven't heated this guy up, but even without heating him up, he's moving pretty good. So let me see. Let me see how. how good of a pose I can get him. Yeah, let's go for it. So that Pizza Spider-Man was the last Spider-Man that I picked up, and I picked that up 2 years ago now, I guess. Um, and so I'm really excited to get another Spider-Man. Definitely one of my favorite Marvel characters. Uh, not a character that I collect as such. Um, I'm not going to get the Sinister Six or anything like that, but I wonder. See, I'm just wondering. Trying to get him to balance just on his toes, which I have managed to do. So he's just balanced on his toes, which is pretty cool. I very much look forward to getting this guy his hot bath, as is very much deserved, with a figure that's going to pose as much as this guy is, and sort of work the joints a little bit and get. I'm trying to figure out, and I think he does have a bit of a drop down hip there too. So I think there's a lot of posability in this figure. For whatever reason, like the torso joint on mine is really really sticky. So I'm not gonna force it. The rest of the joints seem pretty good, albeit fairly stiff, which is not bad out of the package. It's something that I've grown to expect, which is why Ollie's get a nice warm bath. So he'll get a nice warm bath tomorrow, if not tonight, and get all posed up. You see how he's kind of like tilted? It's because that ball joint in the chest is doit. Anyway, moving on. Tyler says the toe joints are the best. They are. They do. There are people that don't absolutely love toe joints on action figures, and I can understand why. Because if they are if they're just thrown in to be there and they're not done well, um, one thing that can happen is you can get like a really awkward looking angle in the toe. Like some of the SH figure art stuff, it's like really blunt. Like there's like a really hard angle to the toe, or sort of where the cut is in the articulation, and it can look really off, from the side and even from the top. This guy doesn't have that problem at all. When you go down, it's a little bit janky, but I mean, whose toes go down like that? That wouldn't make sense. You wouldn't do that, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, they look good. They look great. Very happy with the articulation. Very happy with the figure. Cosmetically fantastic. Articulation is really good as well. So very very happy with that pack. On everything except for the price. I think the price was a little bit more than they could have been and should have been, but hey, what can you do? Tyler said they should be standard for Spider-Man figs. Yes, I would agree. For a figure like Spider-Man, the toe articulation should be standard, which is a great segue into the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. This is based on the first appearance, as we have on the side of the box, the Steve Ditko art. On the other side of the box, we have a second picture of the figure itself, which is the same figure that is on the front of the box. And then on the back, we have the full loadout of what we get in the package, which is the figure, some spare hands, the underarm web swing wings, and as well as the piece of web. So let's get into it. Oh, I missed a piece of tape. Good thing I kept my knife here. And again, as I mentioned, the windowless packaging doesn't bother me in the slightest. That box is going in the recycling anyway. The legalese is going in the recycling anyway. Most of the stuff goes in the recycling anyway, so what difference does it make? And now the ASMR portion of the video. Trying to determine if this is like wired or anything, or if it's just plastic. I think the web is just plastic, which is okay, but it kind of sucks because they ship it folded. So this will also get a nice warm bath to straighten it out. But I've also seen a couple people do some really, really simple webs with florist wire. I think you can buy it in white, and that's what you'll see sometimes in people's pictures. They've got those really cool. They've got those really cool. McFarlane inspired looking webs, and I think I might make a couple of those for that guy. This guy, I'll leave this one sort of as is, and never use it for anything probably. But I should say it is pretty cool to get webs with Spider-Man. I think that's, again, like toe articulation. It's kind of one thing that I think that every Spider-Man should have. This guy shipped, a little derpy looking as far as the chin all the way down against the chest. But maybe that's just how they ship. Maybe that's just how they get packed up. Now, very different aesthetic on this guy. Of course, being that it is the Steve Ditko art, it's like navy's not the way to describe it. It's like an almost black, I guess, is the closest, like a graphite, like a midnight navy. I don't know. I'll have to see. I want to see it in another light just to get another sort of take on it. It almost like it's. I don't know if it's coming across as more black than it is. It's a dark gray or sort of a dark blue. It is not black. Um, but again, it looks absolutely fantastic. It's stunning. It's I would say it's true to the art of the first appearance. And it looks really, really good. Again, first thing I was sort of looking for was any sort of missing paint apps, any deco, and again, there was sort of I don't know if that was down to packaging before it's dried, but I got a couple little scuffs to the paint right out of the box under that arm. So QC, 2 for 3. It had minor issues, but not anything that I'm honestly that concerned about. I'm not that picky. As I've said before, I'm not so much a collector as I am a guy that buys a lot of toys, and these are going to get played with by myself, by my kids. So they're bound to get scuffed at some point, I suppose. And maybe that's why I'm a little less particular about what they look like right out of the box. But again, he's got the butterfly joints, which is great, you know, for Spider-Man to get him in his sort of Spider-Man-y poses and stuff like that. Again, double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. They are, of course, also pinless. Um, he does have this little hole under his arm here, and that is going to be where the little webs are going to peg in. Um, which I will check out here in a sec. But this is the disappointing thing for me is that this came out exactly at the same time as the other one, and he does not have the toe articulation, which to me is a little bit disappointing because you'd go so far as to make, you know, another version. I mean, this is an entirely different figure, so I don't think, you know, they couldn't have just retooled, you know, the foot. Um, But by comparison, you know, there's some differences. He is shorter. He's quite a bit shorter, which I like. I like that they went kind of teenage Spider-Man versus adult Spider-Man. To me, that makes sense because, you know, the Steve Ditko first appearance, that Spider-Man was in high school. Renew Your Vows is, you know, I believe a married man. So I think there's an age difference there. There's a height difference. There's a build difference. So the first appearance Spider-Man is also more slender. Um, I wouldn't say he's skinny. Like he still doesn't feel as skinny as this guy. This guy, you know, you can see all his. It's not his ribs, but I don't know what those muscles are called. But you can see all those tiny little muscles in there. Like he's just super lean and sinewy. Um, Whereas this guy just seems like he's got sort of like a teenager build, I guess. A very strong superhero teenage build. Um, but really cool. Really nice figures. Going back to the accessories, I mentioned the web. I mentioned the wings. I'll try putting those on in a second here. But we also get a few more hands in this one than we did with the other one. So we get those same open hands. We get the whippy hand, the web shooter hand. We get the fist, and then we also get left and right open, you know, open hands, holding hands for holding the web, presumably. So that makes sense. I wish every figure would. Honestly, this, you know, maybe not everybody's going to agree with me. I wish every single figure came with this set of hands, regardless of who the character was or sort of what they did. Because you're always going to have something that you want to put in their hands. And if all he's got is web shooting hands and open palm hands and fist hands, it becomes problematic to try to put things in their hands. Now, that being said, just looking at these two hands, one from sort of either figure, the web pattern is different. I don't know. You're not going to be able to make this out because it's way too small and way too detailed for my crummy setup. Um, but the web pattern is different because the web pattern on these guys is different. So the Renew Your Vows, there's, you know, bigger spacing in between the web pattern. That's tighter spacing on the first appearance, and their hands are similar and reflect that. But that being said, color wise, they're pretty dang close, and the pegs look to be roughly the same size. So you know, if you needed to, if you wanted to, I'm pretty sure that you could go ahead and use those grippy hands. Yeah, that'd be fine. I mean, you got them if you've got these Spider-Man, so you can kind of swap them. They work. They're the right size. They're more or less the right color, and they peg in properly. So do your thing. You get them in there. Do whatever you want. Do your collection. Collect how you want. Put whatever hands you want in there. Put somebody else's hand in there. I don't care. So there we have it. That's those are the Spider-Men. Oh, I was gonna do the webs. I'll do the webs, and then we'll call it. Let me see. I'll do one of each because I feel like that makes the most sense. Now I gotta look at the box, trying to figure out how the heck these go in. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I got no clue. I got no clue how they're supposed to go in. But I'm sure once I figure it out, I'll be like, oh, of course. Going this way? Oh, I think I need there. That just needs to be higher up. So that arm needs to be like pretty much horizontal. Oh, come on. There we go. So it looks, I mean, does that look good? Is that right? It doesn't look right, does it? The jury's out. The jury is out on the web. I don't know about that. It's maybe these ones look better. Is it the right one? Maybe that's not the right one. Yeah, I'm not sure about those webs. They look cool, but trying to once I get them figured out, it's probably look pretty cool. Yeah, and it doesn't want to stay in anyway. Oh well. Anyway, there they are. Couple of Spider-Mans and Spinneret. Ooh. All in all, pretty good figures. Very, very satisfied with these figures. Like I said, great decos, great paint. The spare heads are nice for the 2-pack. The wings, I'll probably get the hang of it, and that'll be cool. Like plenty of hands. The web as well. Once I get this thing straightened out, I think could be pretty fun. As far as which one I prefer, I don't know. This is a tough decision. I like them both. I like them both a lot. Um, and I honestly don't know if I can pick a favorite because they're so different. Because the Steve Ditko one is really, really cool because it's the first appearance, because it's the Steve Ditko, because it has that really kind of vintage style. The different logo, like everything about it is just really, really cool. It's a great looking figure. It's going to pose really, really nice. Apart from the toe articulation, if this had toe articulation, he may have been my favorite. That being said, this reminds me so much of the Spider-Man that I kind of grew up with. This to me is a little bit more of like the McFarlane look of Spider-Man. Um, in terms of the color, in terms of the blue and the red. Um, and the toe articulation is fantastic, and the overall articulation scheme is really, really good. The toe articulation is really the only piece of articulation that this guy has that guy doesn't. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Dan Larson in the photo booth trying to eliminate one, and it's like too hard to eliminate one. I don't know which one I would. If I eliminate one, would I feel terrible about not having the other? Um, because they're both so good. But if I could only have one, I think I would go with the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, because this is more the Spider-Man that I grew up with. Um, but they're great figures. You can't go wrong. I mean, if you need a new Spider-Man figure, go with your gut. Pick the one that sort of speaks to your speaks to your era of comic book collecting, or speaks to your preference in terms of art style. If you like the older sort of Steve Ditko type stuff, um, this guy's fantastic. If you like the more modern stuff, this guy's really, really good as well. So, um, yeah, great figures. Like I said, if you're looking for a new Spider-Man, uh, hit up Mike at eCollectibles and pick one of these up, or pick both of them up. I think they're both still available. I'm not certain, but I think they are. And as I said, you really can't make a bad choice with either. So yeah, go get yourself a new Spider-Man and have a good night.